Sometimes it can be very uncomfortable to move through the uncomfortable. It can also be counterintuitive to move through the uncomfortable. But sometimes it's through the uncomfortable that we are given our truth. Sometimes we're nudged to move through the uncomfortable. But because it feels uncomfortable, we step back. And this is sometimes when our intuition is being overridden by our limiting beliefs or limiting thoughts. Because our intuition is nudging you, saying, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way. But for you, it feels uncomfortable. So it's counterintuitive to go through the uncomfortable, because it can also be seen as resistance. But this resistance is coming from within, because you're perhaps now in a stage in your awareness, in your healing, that you are realizing that you have desires, wishes, wants, needs, and you're starting to question, why am I not listening to my needs, to my desires? Why am I putting in the back burner? Why am I doing for others first before me? Why am I people pleasing? Why am I not listening? Yeah. And when you become aware of your desires, and the first few times you might not attend to it, then these nudges become louder, and then you start attending to it. But then halfway through you might feel uncomfortable shifting, moving through it. And this is where the counterintuitive is very powerful, because what you're moving through uncomfortable is because you're going against the limiting belief, not because you're going through the desire. It's not the desire that is uncomfortable, but it's the limiting belief that is in your mind, telling you otherwise, because that's where you're being programmed and conditioned. And that's the uncomfortable, right? But you are becoming aware of your desires. So why not listen and attend to it? Why not go with it? Your desires are your feminine energy speaking to you. You go and make that decision to do that which you desire. That's your masculine energy. When the limiting belief starts to play out, and you questioning whether you should do that or not, that decision you made about your desire, that is the conflict between the masculine and the feminine. But it's the distorted limiting beliefs and limiting thoughts, processes, conditioning, programming playing out. So this is a time for discernment, because you had a desire, you had awareness, you had a desire, and you attended to it. You're feeling uncomfortable moving through it because of the limitations that are coming through your mind, to your thinking mind. And this is a time of discernment. This is a time like a crossroad, where you get to that point and it's time to execute a desire, and you think, right now my limiting beliefs are telling me this, and this, but I do have this strong desire, intuition to go through that, but that feels uncomfortable. And sometimes moving through the resistance, through the uncomfortable, because taking the desire road, you're going to be moving against the uncomfortable of the limiting belief that's been there for many, many years. It can be uncomfortable. You will have to push through it. You have to work through it. But when you realize that you attended to your desire, and you realize that all those thoughts that was stopping you from going there, actually the situation wasn't as bad or presented itself as you thought it would, you get to the other end and you think it wasn't as bad. None of those things I was thinking about happened, right? And that's when your awareness becomes more amplified to your desires, and your intuition starts to really speak to you much louder, because now you're listening. Now you're responding to it. And you might have more uncomfortable moments to move and shift through, and is having that discernment. Why am I uncomfortable? Because then the more you attend to your desire and your intuition, the more you are connecting with your feminine energy, the more you're connecting with your own essence. Because now you're shifting away from connecting to your limiting beliefs and your thought processes and your conditioning, your programming. And then the uncomfortable becomes easier, because in your mindset you're thinking, I've done this before and it was nothing like I imagined. It was much easier, much nicer. But then there is the reward for yourself for stepping into your own desire, even though it felt uncomfortable. So we need to have this discernment if your intuition is being overridden by limiting beliefs. I did a video months ago, and I'll put a link in reference in the description box. This is coming back around again, but not because, for me personally, not because I'm necessarily struggling on the physical side of things, on the action, practical. I'm very connected at the moment and I feel very aligned, but I am struggling with the etheric side, the versions of myself that are more cosmics, not the versions of myself. There's Robbie here, past life Robbie, future life Robbie. Not these versions, not 3D versions, more the 5D, 6D versions, the ones that it's part of me, it's fractals of me, but they are more cosmic, etheric, from more, from other dimensions. And I'm starting to listen, and I'm starting to see, and I'm starting, not see with my eyes, but I'm starting to understand that these versions also exist within ourselves. And now I'm going back to this process of listening to my intuition, but listening to the fractals of me. They are multidimensional, right? Because before we look at one dimension here on earth, your life, your limiting beliefs, and now I'm looking at energetic, dimensional. Why am I uncomfortable? Yeah, why am I uncomfortable? So I wanted to bring this up to share. Hope it helps someone, and feel free to leave any comments. How are you moving through your uncomfortable? Are you pulling back? Are you pushing through? And when you push through, what do you find? When you pull back, do you find yourself in that situation again? Just share. I would love to read. It really helps me, and I hope it helps you. And we are love and light. Thank you.